If you have spent months staring at test prep materials, you likely feel like a ghost in the machine, an invisible participant in an educational system that treats your intelligence as a data point to be filtered. It is a hollow experience to realize that the common person approach to the TOEFL leaves you sounding like a hesitant supplicant, begging an algorithm for a score that might finally grant you permission to start your life. You feel the urge to speak more to prove you belong, yet the more energy you pour into seeking validation, the more the system categorizes you as a low-status language learner rather than an academic asset. This invisibility is a failure of your structural calibration. You are being taught to answer the question, but within the Trinity, we recognize that the TOEFL is a forensic audit of your ability to command a room using the American academic frequency. I am Sloan, the Trinity English Scholar, and today we are installing the protocols for the American TOEFL, the art of becoming the institutional axis within the speaking and writing sections. Before we initiate the clinical reconstruction of your academic voice, ensure you have liked this video and subscribed to the channel. This is the biometric signature of your commitment to the sovereign curriculum. For those who require the exhaustive technical templates and the phonetic response charts to support this evolution, the forensic PDF for today's topic is the primary resource. It is your manual for legislating your own success. We are transitioning you from a state of linguistic anxiety to a state of phonetic governance. There is a question we will leave suspended until the final transition. If you are answering the prompt as a student, how can you ever expect the system to treat you as a scholar? The transition to a high-scoring TOEFL profile requires a total abandonment of the language learner model, which relies on fillers, hedging, and rising terminal pitches. Most test takers operate under the delusion that fluency is measured by the speed of their words, which leads to a frantic, high-variance energy that broadcasts low-status panic. Within the Trinity, we replace this with acoustic density. The first law of American academic governance is that authority is grounded in the hard floor. You must anchor your vocal folds in the diaphragm to ensure every sentence ends with a deliberate downward pitch vector. In the American context, frequency end is less than frequency start is the phonetic signature of a fact. When you speak into the microphone, you are not offering an opinion, you are legislating a reality that the grader must now document. This physical grounding is reinforced by lexical encapsulation, the strategic use of categorical nouns to define academic concepts as immutable objects. You do not think the reading says something, you identify a structural misalignment. This removes the I from the academic negotiation and replaces it with a systemic requirement. This structural stability is further enhanced by syntactic compression, the surgical removal of safety fillers like actually, basically, or I guess. These are linguistic leaks that suggest you are negotiating for space. Instead, the Trinity Scholar utilizes the strategic pause, a full 2-second vacuum before and after a key transition word like furthermore or conversely. This creates a structural vacuum that forces the rater to adjust to your timing, signaling that your words are high-value assets. We combine this with institutional displacement, where you speak as the voice of the department, the research, or the standard. Whether you are discussing a campus policy or a biological process, you must remove your personal identity and replace it with the weight of the institution. This creates a status shield that makes your response untouchable. You are not a student trying to remember a lecture. You are a sovereign auditor reporting on the integrity of the information. Case Study 1. Information Density. You are faced with a standard TOEFL independent speaking question asking whether you prefer to study alone or in a group. The common person typically starts by talking about their feelings or personal habits, using a shaky, high-pitched voice to seek agreement from the listener. Here is how a non-Trinity scholars approached the case study. I think I actually prefer studying in a group because it's really helpful to talk to my friends and we can help each other out if we don't understand something. I guess it's just more fun too. And I feel like I learn better when I'm not all by myself in the library. So, yeah, that's why I like group study better than studying alone. I hope that makes sense. Trinity Scholars' approach. collaborative study works better for one primary reason: information density. Group environments facilitate a higher frequency of peer-to-peer data exchange, which accelerates the validation of complex academic concepts. Conversely, isolated study often results in a singular feedback loop, limiting the scope of the analytical process. The primary requirement for academic success is the diversification of inputs, therefore, the collaborative model is the superior logistical choice. The baseline for information retention is maximized in this structure. Trinity analysis. In this first simulation, the scholar utilizes the discovery of linguistic armor. The non-Trinity approach fails because it provides handles, emotional data points like fun and I feel that signal a low status frequency. The Trinity Scholar, however, replaces personal narrative with technical evasiveness. By defining study habits as a logistical choice rather than a feeling, the scholar makes their preference sound like a corporate strategic plan that is far too dense to be questioned. The 3-second strategic pause after the first sentence creates a no-fly zone around the scholar's logic. Case Study 2. Empirical refutation. You are asked to summarize a biology lecture that contradicts a reading passage about a specific species of bird. The common person will often struggle to remember the details, using he said or she said while their voice fluctuates in pitch, showing they are unsure of the data. Here is how a non-Trinity scholars approach the case study. So, the reading says that these birds are really good at finding food, but then the professor in the lecture actually disagreed with that. He said that in a study, the birds didn't find the food as fast as the reading thought they would. I think he said it was because of the weather or something. So the lecture kind of proves the reading was wrong about the bird's abilities, I guess. Trinity Scholars approach. The lecture presents a clinical refutation of the reading's primary hypothesis regarding avian foraging efficiency. While the reading passage posits that the species maintains a high-utility caloric intake, the empirical data from the lecture identifies a significant structural failure in this logic. Specifically, the experimental results indicate that external environmental variables determine the foraging outcome. The transition from the reading's theoretical model to the lecture's evidentiary model reveals a total misalignment. The conclusion is that the species efficiency is a secondary variable. Trinity analysis. This scenario illustrates the discovery of institutional displacement. The non-Trinity response is a student report, which mirrors the uncertainty of someone who is trying to remember. The Trinity Scholar executes a frequency override. Instead of saying, the professor disagreed, the scholar labels the lecture as a clinical refutation, a professional observation that demotes the reading passage from fact to failed hypothesis. The hard floor at the end of secondary variable acts as a vocal gate, signaling that the academic discussion is terminated by the scholar's superior summary. Case Study 3. Systemic imbalance. You must respond to a conversation between two students where one student disagrees with a new university policy that limits library hours. The common person often gets sucked into the drama, taking sides emotionally and using low-resolution words like mean or unfair. Here is how a non-Trinity scholars approach the case study. The guy in the conversation is really upset because the school is closing the library earlier on weekends. He says it's not fair because that's the only time he can really get his work done since he has a job during the week. I think the university should listen to him because it's really hard for students to pay for school and work at the same time, you know? Trinity Scholars approach. The student identifies a systemic imbalance between the revised facility schedule and the requirements of the student demographic. The reduction in library availability creates a primary resource deficit for students who are concurrently engaged in external labor markets. The student posits that the current policy optimization is misaligned with the actual utility patterns of the student body. The restoration of the previous operational baseline is presented as the only viable solution for maintaining academic integrity. The governance of the facility must account for these resource constraints. Trinity analysis. This is the ultimate application of the still axis and categorical nouns. In a campus life scenario, the common person leaks emotion, proving they are just another student complaining. The Trinity Scholar, however, treats the student's complaint as a systemic imbalance. This is the discovery of clinical distance. By using the phrase resource deficit, she signals that she is observing the university's policy from a position of absolute height. She does not defend the student's feelings, she audits the university's policy optimization. Key takeaways. The core of the American TOEFL is the understanding that you are the architect of your own academic score. First, you must install the hard floor. Your voice must remain grounded in the diaphragm, ending every academic statement with a downward pitch. This prevents you from sounding like a student who is guessing the answer. Second, master lexical scarcity. Stop using fillers and emotional descriptors. Replace your stories with institutional status reports. Third, utilize syntactic compression. Remove fillers like just and actually, and replace them with a strategic pause. This creates a vacuum that forces the rater to adjust to your timing. Fourth, maintain biometric stillness. Even when speaking into a microphone, your authority is born from your internal immobility. Fifth, understand the power of the institutional voice. When summarizing a lecture, do not act as a student repeating a teacher, act as a colleague reviewing a peer's data. This clinical labeling strips the test of its power and places you in the position of the auditor. Remember, your score is not a reflection of your English, it is a reflection of your phonetic governance. Homework. Your assignment for the next 48 hours is the calibration of the academic axis. You will record yourself responding to 3 TOEFL prompts, but you are prohibited from using the words I, me, or think for the entire duration of the recording. You will maintain a hard floor and only speak when you can offer a clinical summary of the data. You will identify one status leak in your speaking, a word like actually or a rising pitch at the end of sentences, and you will surgically remove it, replacing it with a 2-second strategic silence. Furthermore, you will audit your writing for safety fillers and replace them with categorical nouns. You must record yourself delivering a summary using institutional displacement, e.g., the data indicates a structural failure, and verify that your voice carries 0 student frequency anxiety. Finally, download the PDF for this session to review the TOEFL logic templates. You are training your nervous system to handle the pressure of being the axis in a room of static. I am Sloan, the Trinity English Scholar. We do not speak to be understood. We speak to be obeyed. See you in the next frame.